This is Tales from the Pros, where business leaders and influencers share their stories of inspiration, struggles, and successes. And I'm your host, Michael Giorgio. Hey everyone, welcome to Tales from the Pros. This is Michael Giorgio, your host and co-founder of Imaginovation. My awesome guest with me here today is the CEO and founder of Goldfingr, a vetted and exclusive social network of business leaders, investors, entrepreneurs, and influential thought leaders working together and supporting one another for the common good and with intention. It's a modern paradigm of social clubs, a think tank, incubator, and socially conscious business accelerator. They have been integrating and raising capital, investing, business, the arts, entertainment, social, and adding unbelievable value to their members with a complete VIP experience. His experience is exhibited in a long track record of always executing, being an entrepreneur for over 30 years, and investing for over 18 years. Please welcome Rob Charles. Rob, I appreciate you being here, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael, and thank you so much for the amazing introduction. You actually said that better than I said it, so thank you.
Absolutely. Try to keep it short and sweet, not sometimes podcasters, they can give like a 5-minute or 10-minute introduction. And I think the interviewee is like, okay, yeah, that's cool. That's good. That's good. Let's kind of start. So that's always part of the major problems with entrepreneurs. The difference between entrepreneurs and investors is entrepreneurs always have a difficult time, typically speaking, messaging, explaining their concept and idea to investors. So you did it very eloquently. So thank you. Thank you. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's we're definitely going to get into all of the whole game of investing and just the startup game and the craziness that's been going on. And I know you know a lot about that. So definitely want to get your insight on all of that. But first and foremost, Rob, just want to talk a little bit about your story. It's a business storytelling podcast, and I think it's very important for the audience to really get just an understanding of who you are and how things kind of started for you. I know you're obviously the founder of Goldfingr right now, doing amazing things. But before that, it seems like you were investing in a lot of different companies, starting companies, selling companies. So give us a little background. How did it all kind of begin?
Well, great questions. First off, I always have to date back to what I really call my first entrepreneur experience was in 1987, 88, right when I graduated high school. I played pro soccer in West Germany. And this was right before the wall came down. So that was my dream, my passion at the time. I didn't know anything about Germany. I just went and flew over there and tried out and made it. Obviously, I had some good connections, and that was what I say my first really entrepreneurial venture, I would say. But then I came back to U.S. After that 1 year. I started really as building companies and starting as an entrepreneur over 30 years now. I'm a tech entrepreneur for 25 years. So my first tech startup was in 1996. The first online art gallery called universalarts.com. It's ARTZ.com. I had, this is back in the first tech bubble. I built another company called ICIMS.com, ICIMS.com. And the first tech bubble out of New York. Still around today, actually, still in business. Made it through the last 21 years. But then when everything was going hard copy to digital, I did that for a number of years. And I was in tech. This is 2000, 2003. I started a foundation for children in 2003 to 2006, doing nonprofits, about half my time around the world. Wow. In India, projects in Africa, different places as well. Then I started my second pro sport, which was Thai boxing. So 2003, so about 2006 and 2007, I was WKA light middleweight North American champion in 2006.
I read about that. That's awesome.
Yeah, but I would say those things are very
important to my story, and also have read some of the most influential things that have helped me in business, right? Is not necessarily just directly related to business. But yeah, so I basically went through, done a myriad of different things, oil and gas, commodities, heavy equipment, through the years, and just like building things. I've always been a power connector. I've always been super connected. And so I just had, years ago, in 2001, before social networks existed, I had this idea. And it's a very similar idea than what we currently have. And then I got it off the ground. I started in actually 2014 because it wasn't ready. It was way, way, way too early, 2000 and 2001. So, and through the years, we just studied the different, aspects of, raising capital, building companies, investing, all these inefficiencies. And I said, well, how can we just create a better system, a better network, and where it's multifaceted, where everyone actually works together collectively, helps each other, and access to capital, access to different resources based on relationships, and I integrated that all into one comprehensive system. That's basically what we did.
I love it. And, I really like what you and your team are doing at Goldfingr, and we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But I think just giving entrepreneurs a platform, and business leaders and investors, and I'm sure many other different people, just really a centralized platform to connect, to help each other, for different sources of good. And I think that's very difficult right now in a lot of other platforms. I'm sure you have a lot to say about this, right? Even with a platform like LinkedIn. I'm a big LinkedIn advocate. I love LinkedIn in terms of, if I had to compare it to other platforms, I like it. I'm using Clubhouse a little bit now, and even it's just so saturated, and you don't know who to trust. You don't know it's just, people have been bullied on that platform, and, there's a lot of good in it too. I'm not saying there isn't, but it's good to have a centralized location where you can just connect with one another, and just be able to build those relationships, because business really is about relationships. I mean, we forget that all the time, and we take it for granted.
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there's so many different things that you said that I can align with and have a lot of thoughts on. First off is in regards to the relationship side of things. So I always say, when you're investing in real estate, it's location, location, location. With Goldfingr, I always say it's about relationships, because it's actually how the world has been operated for centuries, still does operate, and it's all built on trust and relationships, and at the higher levels. So it's very simple. We just said, hey, if we underline and connect, it's a very simple concept. Other people don't seem to forget this. We're here to help each other and cohabitate. So when you connect my network with your network, and we're working collectively together, it's exponentially greater than working separately. Very simple. And in regards to what you're talking about, the principles and consciousness of our community, we're actually one of the first, not the first, one of the first conscious networks. So we actually have 11 principles integrated into our global community. The first is the mastermind principle, not a new concept. It's been going on for centuries as well. It's the key to every major successful person or organization is using the mastermind principle. Also gifting and participation and giving back. So basically principles that we can align with as humanity to work together and help each other. So we've integrated that into our whole ecosystem. And so I had this family office guy tell me about 9 months ago during the pandemic. He said, "Hey, Rob, do you realize what you've created here?" And I said, yeah. And he goes, no, I don't think you do. And I said, no, I definitely do, because that's why I created it. And he's like, well, do you realize, he's like, if Facebook had the principles that Goldfingr has as an organization, that we'd have a different planet now? And I said, yeah, exactly. That's what we're creating here. Because you have all these different platforms, which are great. I consider them old paradigms nowadays. They work in this pre-pandemic thing, and they'll still be around, of course. But the modern thing, if people haven't woken up yet, it's that we also need to give back and do things for humanity and the planet as well. And we can do that and still help each other and monetize and grow and be wealthy. Actually, I consider that the new wealth, what I call wealthness, right? Being able to healthy body, spirit, mind, family, friends, pocketbook as well, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. I think that's really how I define it too. It's not just about the money that you have in the bank or the investments that you have or the real estate that you have, or, it's really a combination. And even more importantly, it's the relationships that you've built, the people that you've been able to, to make smile and to, be able to help them and provide a positive impact to them in any way possible is just so vital in our lives. And I think, at least in my opinion, a lot of us take that for granted. And sometimes you need this reset to just be like, why am I doing this? I'm here to help this person. And yeah, of course I need to pay my bills, and yes, I need to do this, but all of that will come, if you do good, and you keep giving. And I know that's talked about a lot with many different leaders, especially on social media, just talking about giving and you'll receive. But I think the notion is true, and you got to give with intention, give for the right reasons. Don't just do it because you're expecting something back in return. I think that's very important, is just having that mental game and that soulful game, and really getting your intentions in order, just being intentional. At least that's something I heavily believe in.
Absolutely. And what you just said, Michael, that's actually how I started Goldfingr. Is years ago, I traveled around the planet, and the first 1,000 members I hand selected, and a lot of them were friends of mine. I've always had a really strong network. But across the board, everything from artists to billionaires. And I just helped them. I just added value to them. I didn't ask for anything in return. And help them by opening doors for them. And because like I said, I've always been connected. And then all I asked in return was for them to help each other. I said, you don't have to just help each other in the community, right?
Right.
And now all of a sudden you have these very influential and successful people treating each other differently, right? It's game theory. It's basically people sign up to play this game. So we integrated, and I was inspired by this by going to my first burn. I go to Burning Man, and I consider myself a burner, and I went to my first burn in 2015.
A lot of the top leaders are part of that, as you know.
Absolutely, yeah, and absolutely, some of the top game changers in the world.
Yeah,
and everyone's out there just celebrating life as well. But the key components is the principles that are integrated into Burning Man, right? And so I said, if this works in Burning Man as well, why can't it work into a technology platform? Because that's, for me, has always been the missing link, is the tech that connects the different communities, right? So,
yeah, and I talk about this in some of my other episodes, but from what you're doing, what you're accomplishing through this platform, Rob, really just adding that human touch with technology and making things more efficient, and therefore it's going to make things more effective. I think sometimes we waste a lot of time doing things just manually. Even I know for you, just from what I've read and what I've seen about you, you talk about how email is kind of old And a lot of people in my company, and even I agree with this to a certain extent as well, is that email is kind of like an older technology. It's not like you can connect. I mean, you can connect with people instantly, but email is just, I don't know. I just feel like things fall through the cracks very easily with email, and it's just all the spam and the lack of filtering, and it's so saturated. So I'm sure you have some thoughts on the whole email thing, but I really like what you're doing with Goldfingr.
Thank you. Yeah, I always I consider email nowadays to be like U.S. Postal Service. It's hold on, follow me. Sorry. Yeah, it's outdated. I mean, obviously, it's still effective, right? You can still send a letter as well in the mail, but and I often tell people, don't even email me. I won't respond. Just text me or just message me. But yeah, it's just behavioral change. That's why COVID has been like the best thing that happened to us per se with Goldfingr, because we've always been a digital club, and the pandemic really forced behavioral change, meaning it made people use virtual communications platforms. And when pre-COVID, people just prefer to meet in person, or they would just use a social like network platform or what have you, right? Mm-hmm. Then COVID hit, and that changed behavior. Like basically people said, okay, I have to use these communications platforms, and but I'm only using it for my network. So how do I leverage and use this in this like new age? Yeah, so that's what we're really excited about.
And Rob, with just like your experience in and dealing with startups and even creating your own startups, your own businesses, and investing as well, what are your thoughts right now on the whole investment game? And even the startup game. It really is. At least in my experience, I've dealt with a lot of different startups as well. Me and my company, we were a startup at one point. We've been around for 10 years. My company, Imagine Ovation, and it's tough. We weren't really too much into the investment. We didn't really need to seek investors or anything, because we were more a B2B service. We weren't really like a SaaS or a product-based business. But I just know from dealing with a lot of SaaS businesses and product businesses, it's tough. It's just a very, very tough game, right? So kind of what are your thoughts on just the whole VCs and angels and how the whole dynamics?
Well, that's a very broad question, but multifaceted, because it covers a lot of different aspects.
Right.
Because investing and financial markets and, raising capital, they're all different subsets, and all have their own, world, right? But I'll try to do my best on talking about that a little bit. But
kind of like general speaking, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, so first off, everything is being disrupted right now, and everything is being modified. Models are, paradigms are falling down and have been over the last, during the pandemic, over the last year or so, and they're going to continue to happen. I mean, look at GameStop with the financial markets, right? I mean, that alone could have crashed. That one incident could have crashed the entire market. Okay, and so what's to say something's not going to happen again? I mean, that's one aspect, right? You have, industries that have fallen, right, from hospitality, from travel, from all this different stuff that's just education, right? Who wants to pay right now? Who wants to pay $50,000 a semester to go to Columbia or NYU when you're doing it through Zoom?
Yeah, very true.
I mean, is it worth $50,000 a semester? I can think of a lot better ways to spend $50,000. But so I mean, so all this thing, everything is being reinvented right now, and that includes investing. So in DeFi, right? I mean, we have now with crypto. It's really exciting for me, because if you think about what this means, right? And markets, and let's and by the way, we're doing our token right now, our Mint token as well. So we're actually tokenizing our entire system and our entire network, which is huge. And meaning like, meaning traditionally we're not a crypto project, right? We're a platform for a network for, traditional investors to communicate and close deals. And now we're tokenizing this whole thing and putting it on the blockchain. Well, for multiple reasons. One of the reasons why it's so exciting is DeFi, for example, right? And a lot of people don't even understand DeFinance, but it's just basically a community, and not even from a social context, just from a digital thing. Like people have come on and said, hey, I'm going to buy this token, right? And because I think it's worth something, and someone else is going to buy it, and this token could go 10x or 100x or 1000x, whatever it may be, like Dogecoin, for example, that has no value whatsoever.
Right.
So the value has just basically, if you and I decide that this podcast token is worth, $100,000, and someone else decides to buy it $100,000, it's worth $100,000, right? Until it's not worth $100,000. So all this stuff is being completely like reinvented right now, and so when you start talking about the effects of how this is going to have on investing and raising capital and all this stuff. I mean, for example, a company that's, by the way, the typical sales cycle, and majority of the planet, 95% of the planet is not crypto and is not crowdfunding, right? Traditional capital raising, which takes 3 to 7 months, by the way. 3 to 7 engagements per investor. This is the stats per investor to close one investor for private equity, and 3 to 7 months to close one investor. Okay, that's the amount of time, and 70% of the actual time is spent by entrepreneurs raising capital, and we wonder why so many businesses fail. Now, so when you take all of these inefficiencies, right, and now a company can come on and raise crypto as a utility token and not give up any equity, and can do this on DeFi exchange and do it for free. DeFi, with the launchpad like Uniswap, you can launch your token for free, for zero, no cost. Now you can go public and create liquidity, and even if you don't even have a product or all this other stuff, you can actually create, and people actually buy this and trade it and sell it without even having a product per se, right? Like Dogecoin. So this type of stuff is, like it or not, if you're a traditional finance guy or not, person or not, this is game-changing stuff. The fact that this is happening, right? So the long-term effects, and this hasn't even caught on. This is actually going on now. And this hasn't caught on to the rest of the planet yet, because they don't understand DeFi. They don't understand it. Investors don't invest in things they don't understand, right? Yeah. So what we're doing, we're simplifying this, and we're making it super, super simple, and where the average investor, I'm talking about accredited or institutional, can have it served to them, make it super simple for them. They can connect with it from the personal level, and they can invest, right? And from the capital raise side, we're making it super simple where they can actually raise and not give up any equity, and we're giving them all the pieces and even able to close the round for them, potentially, okay, from our investor network, for their crypto as well. So we're doing a lot of stuff that's changing the game, but there's a lot of stuff out there that's changing the game, right?
Yeah. I know there's a lot of things going on with crypto, and I'm invested a little bit into it as well, and I'm trying to learn more about it. It's a lot to learn. I still don't even fully completely understand it, quite honestly. But I
don't either, by the way.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's just the technology, everything behind it, and I run a tech company. It's very difficult to really comprehend, understand. But essentially, I am seeing a lot of these crypto startups, blockchain startups, even that are getting a lot of different seed rounds, and I see, that market, that industry is really emerging and just getting a lot of attention. And in your experience, just even through building and running Goldfingr, are you seeing investors attracted to a certain industry more than another, more like healthcare, education? Or do you think it's kind of spread out? Is it?
Of course. I mean, it depends on what your perspective is, right? Like, for example, if you're what lens you're looking through, right? If you're looking through the lens of, hey, I'm just looking for early stage companies and what have you, then you're going to see it from a different perspective. With Goldfingr and with myself, I mean, for the last 7 years, I'm on the phone all day, every day with top investors and top projects in different markets, from different sectors to different stages to different markets, right? And everything from project financing, data center deals, to crypto, to cannabis, to you name it, right? SpaceX, we were just about to get an allocation for SpaceX, 100 million, secondary market. So these type of stuff, it comes on a daily basis, right? Now, the thing is when you're talking about all this different stuff coming on, I mean, things have changed, obviously, in the pandemic. And yes, I have seen the trends change. So I would say, like, the hottest trends I would see, over the last year and moving forward, right, is healthcare and medtech, for obvious reasons. I mean, COVID-19 pandemic has brought a lot of, traditionally before the pandemic, you had healthcare and medtech investors that were very, very specific. They only dealt in those realms. Well, the PPE, the whole, people had a wake-up call to how valuable healthcare is and how it's needed and so forth. And then you had a big boom. And so now you have a lot of investors that have started looking into these different type of deals that traditionally would not have been. So you have an influx of capital, right? Secondly is hemp. We're doing a lot of hemp industrial projects, yes. Right? And hemp and cannabis. I mean, cannabis, right? Obviously, for obvious reasons, out of LA. And I mean, I started investing in cannabis in 2003. By the way, that was what I first started investing in was cannabis and real estate. So I was really, really early in the cannabis boom. And as soon as it was legal, I was there. But now, even with industrial hemp, right? There's 50,000 different use cases for hemp and for products, sustainable products. Well, what do you have? We have a global problem, right, with environment. I mean, there's all types of stuff going on, right, with the world right now. So, now we're actually scaling different products in hemp, different types of packaging and hemp products into different regions, which can increase their GDP for the country. And also, this is based on connections and open up completely new revenue streams, create jobs. There's all types of stuff that helps with the economy. Another is digital assets, crypto, blockchain. Like it or not, U.S. is behind on this stuff, but blockchain crypto is not going anywhere. It's the new internet. It's the new wave, right? Yeah. I mean, I can remember when this discussion was going on in 1996 when I was in the first tech bubble, right? Is the internet going to go anywhere? Are people ever going to buy clothes and products online? That was the big discussion, right? Obviously so.
I remember. So yeah, you're right.
It's the same, very similar phenomenon, right? That's going on. It's not going on. So digital assets is another hot thing. Anything like this impact that's sustainable or regenerative, rather, and green, these are also hot, right? Topping out. Cybersecurity is another thing in regards to tech, right? Because of all the recent cyber attacks and so forth. So, yeah. I mean, I'd say those are like 4 or 5 of the top hotter industries that I've seen as an investor, right, coming in.
Awesome. Well, I really, really appreciate your insight, Rob.
Please subscribe to our YouTube page and also follow our social media. There are links somewhere around here. But we really appreciate it, guys. Thanks for all the support. And I'm going to be giving you awesome content continuously. And we look forward to seeing you soon.